Happy Wednesday, gentlemen and 2 ladies that watch my channel. Actually, might be 3. Definitely know of 3 women that watch this channel, but for the most part, it's all men. So, welcome to the Sausage Fest of Melanie Loves Death Metal. It is Wednesday. I decided we're going to talk about the new Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef that's been going on. Fucking kidding. Could you imagine? Just make a whole entire video about that. Clicks for days. Even I saw Kendrick Lamar release like the copyright claims, and you could react to his diss tracks to Drake on here, and you wouldn't get in trouble. And that was tempting. I was trying to figure out a way how I could make that into a death metal video, because the views on that would probably be very large, and I probably would make quite a bit of money off of that video. And by quite a bit of money, it's probably like $5 because YouTube is garbage. Anyway, today I'm talking about something that is long overdue. I've had this for a while. I just have got a backlog of things I need to listen to and talk about on here. But this is a pre-order that I got in a little over a month ago. Band, you guys are already familiar with this band. I've talked about them about 100 times on this channel, but we're going to go back and talk about them again. Show off the old releases that I showed off earlier. And that is the new Mutilation BBQ album, amalgamation of gore, out on Maggot Stomp. And if this is, I'm just gonna be honest with you, if you don't like Maggot Stomp bands, and if you don't like bands like Sang with Sugarbog or 200 Stab Wounds or death metal bands that just like to have fun, then just don't watch this video, because this is not going to be for you. I know I show off a lot of different various versions of death metal on here. Some a little bit more pretentious, and some a little bit more dummy death metal, as people like to call it. And I would say this kind of, depending on who you ask, falls into kind of the middle. Not really pretentious, not really dummy death metal, but this band is a lot of fun. And that is what I think you should think about as you're listening to this music, is that they are a fun band, and they're not trying to sit here and make these incredible, intricate death metal riffs or anything like that. Although there's definitely some opportunity there within their music to do that, because they are pretty talented musicians, and you can see that throughout a lot of the songs on this album. So before I get started about the new album, let's back up a minute. Mutilation BBQ came into my life in 2021 when they released this EP on Gurgling Gore. And I'm sure you guys all remember that video that I posted. It was kind of a fun little intro thingy that I did. I thought about doing something similar, but I don't have a grill right now. Hello, phone. Let me just... There we go. Mute that. Okay. So this was the first time I'd ever heard about this band. They are from the Ohio scene, so they are the Ohio death metal scene here. And Gurgling Gore released this tape on their label, and thinking about the band name and the overall cover art for this, I was like, well, I'm gonna listen to that and probably like it and buy it, because that is generally how my mind works when it comes to death metal in this vein. The goofy death metal, there's the fun. They're not taking themselves too seriously, but they're also still playing good, chunky riffs, and, you know, entertaining death metal. So this was the EP that came out on Gurgling Gore back in 2021. Was a massive fan of it, became a fan of the band, talked about it several times on here, showed it off like a couple times. Was one of my favorite EPs to come out that year, and have been anxiously waiting for them to release a full length since. It seemed like it took forever. I'm not too sure. I mean, they're a young band, probably not don't have the most funding in their lives and stuff like that. So anyway, I just waiting, and I was assuming, you know, maybe they would release the first full length on Gurgling Gore. But year goes by, they pop up on Maggot Stomp, and they release this single called Abortion Ambulance. And I'm like, okay, they're a Maggot Stomp band. That makes sense. Definitely makes sense. They definitely fit the bill. Maggot Stomp has definitely... It stayed the same in regards to the bands that they released, but also evolved a little bit with the bands that they released too. They've started getting more hardcore death metal. I don't even know like what the official term is, bands on their roster, and I guess it was just a matter of time. And 200 Stabbings definitely had that in their sound as well. And Mutilation BBQ definitely has that hardcore essence to it. So Maggotstomp definitely has started bringing up more of that influence into the bands that they're releasing, and whether or not people have enjoyed that or not, obviously it's been like a divisive thing. Some people really just can't stand it, and other people absolutely love it. I just particularly don't have a strong stance on it. I like the bands. If I like the music, I buy it and listen to it. Like, that's just how it goes. So they released a single, and I was excited because that just generally meant, okay, well, there's a single coming out. That means their first full length is definitely going to be coming soon. And no, it took 2 years. But you know how it is with recording. These guys, it's not their full-time jobs. Standard tape there. I like that big print on it. And then, but it was exciting. And so for the last 3 years, I've just been waiting. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. And finally, we're in 2024, and the new album is out. It came out in March, so I'm very behind on this. But to be fair, I was waiting to get the tape in the mail, and there was a delay on the tape. So I just got it not that long ago. It was fairly recently, so that's why. So these two are out. You can definitely buy these. I don't know. You can probably find this. Did Maggotstomp reissue this? I can't remember. I could look right now, but these are definitely out, and this was promising. Promising death metal. Was really excited for this band. Definitely one of my most anticipated, and then here we are. It's finally out. So let's talk about this album. There's a lot of things on this album that stand out to me, and then there's some things that are worth calling out and definitely criticizing or critiquing. Because I want to be as honest as possible when I'm talking about music that I'm promoting here. This is not a perfect album by any means. There's some things on here that are definitely going to really bother some people that I know that are in the scene of death metal that are pretty critical of it. Like, for example, I would not recommend this to Marty or Alan over on Heavy Metallurgy. Simon, maybe. He might enjoy it a little bit. He likes the fun death metal. Hello, puppers. You come to join? Hello, old man. So here's the tape. Again, just more of that simplicity. But in regards to this style of death metal, it is not for everybody, especially the old death metal heads who are just really, really stuck into only listening to bands like Suffocation, Nile, those types of bands. And that's not a problem at all, because I'm wearing an Incantation shirt today. So I definitely am one of those people that goes through those moments where I only want to listen to that style of death metal. But I do really, really enjoy pushing forward the genre and promoting the newer bands that are going to be here for a while. And I think these bands are definitely going to be here for a while, especially this one. So here's the J card. I love the artwork on here. The artist is named Colter Masson. I think is how you say his last name. Mason. Right there, you can see it at the bottom. I'll link his Instagram or whatever he has to show more of his art. But I really love that album artwork. It looks really cool on shirts and stuff too. I need to get a shirt. So there's the band. They're a group of young guys. I mean, they're not seasoned veterans in the scene. They're paving their own little journey on the death metal scene, and they definitely have that younger sound to it. And when I say that, I mean, you can tell that maybe possibly the mixing and mastering of this album might have been an afterthought. I'm not too sure. I mean, it was mixed and mastered at a studio, so I mean, there probably was some mixing and mastering put in there, but the production on here is a little bit different in that there's a lot of sounds that are not necessarily that go well together. And I only really hear that when I'm listening to this on like my AirPods or when I have it in my car, because my car's got a weird like surround thing going on. But the drums are very loud on this. And that's a criticism I've seen across the board. And generally I'm not somebody who's all like, fuck that, I can't stand the mix, I can't stand the production. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. It doesn't bother me, but it does bother some people. I've seen it in some reviews, and I know like the boys over at the Thralls of Metal talked about it on there a lot in their review. It's got the high pingy snare The drums are definitely the most prominent instrument that you hear on this album. It does sometimes overshadow the guitar. At times, the bass, too. The bass is also super groovy and chunky on this. And it does make it seem like maybe the production is a little bit messed up. It's not nearly clean or polished. I don't know. But that was never really anything that deterred me or made me think that this made the album bad whatsoever. In fact, it wasn't even really anything I noticed a whole lot until I got the tape and started listening to it on my stereo. Because I had the promo before and I was just streaming it through my phone. And I don't necessarily hear those types of things when I'm streaming music. Like, again, I hate streaming music because the bit rate and all the shit can ruin the actual listening experience. There's so many things about it that bother me when I only have a promo and I don't have a physical copy. But, that is just me being a nitpicker. So that is the one, like, super criticism that I have. Other than that, they are writing a very ambitious record, I will say. It very much still is in the same vein of the last stuff that they've put out, for sure. And it's definitely Mutilation BBQ. But you can tell that they're trying to really forge their way through what style of music they want to play, how they want to write their songs, and essentially this is a forming album. It's trying to find their path, and you can see there's a lot of opportunity that they've opened up. And for me, I think that this album is just the beginning. Like, I don't think that this is remotely the best stuff that they'll ever write at all. And a lot of times bands write a great first album and then that's it. I think if anything, I think time is only going to be better for this band. It seems like a pretty, not immature, that's not the word I want to use, because some people are assuming I'm knocking it. It just seems, it's a very, like first album, we're finding our path, we're trying to figure out who we are, our identity, and you hear that a lot. God damn, my dog just farted. Did you hear that? That was loud. That was rude, sir. Very rude. We're talking death metal. Very serious video here. I love you. Yes, I'm so sorry. Okay, anyway. So that is like my overall criticism of it. I will get that out of the way. I will tell you that. It is not this super awesome. Well, no, I think it's super awesome. I take that back. I really enjoyed this album. Is it perfect? No. Those are the things that I hear about the album. But I'm also a listener that is able to not let those style of things deter me from listening to it. This is just a really fun record. It's brutal. It's got a lot of groove to it. They really like the whammy bar and pinch harmonics. It's like in every single song on here. And they've got these opportunities to really write these great riffs. And they've added them on here. There's a lot going on each song. There's build-ups on each song for breakdowns. But it's just pure fun death metal. And if you're looking for super intricate, well-produced, polished death metal, go listen to the new Deicide album. I'm fucking kidding. I'm kidding. Jeez, I gotta stop talking about Deicide on here. People really are getting bothered by it. But I think it's a really fun album. Some of my favorite songs on here are definitely on the back side of the album, which is interesting because usually sometimes albums are more front loader. Their title track, Amalgamations of Gore / Skin Display, starts off with like the horror themed synth vibe sounds, which I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. But it doesn't really go throughout the whole entire album. It's not like a Mortician album. Okay. I really like Hive Mind Homicide. These song titles are something. Let me tell you that. And then we've got Abortion Ambulance, which obviously we already know because of the single. So, but I think Carcass Compost, Trampled Under 18 Wheels. Trampled Under 18 Wheels is my favorite song on here. Lady Next Door, which Thrall's mentioned several times. This is the only normal song title, and they want to know why. That is probably, again, my other favorite song on here, and then Spontaneous Human Combustion is the final song. It's just a really fun album. It's brutal, it's got breakdowns, it's got pinch harmonics, it's got whammy bars, it's got dive bombs, and it's got a vocal style that is similar to a hardcore style of vocalist with the death metal growls as well. The vocal variance is definitely different than what I usually listen to in the style of death metal. He's got a very unique sound to his voice. Not unique in like that it's weird, just unique that it's not like your stereotypical low guttural death metal, like a brutal death metal vocal. It's got a raspier tone to it. So he's definitely, that's the uniqueness in it. The drummer is a madman. I forget his name. Is it Good? Was that his name? Harrison Good? Yeah, Harrison Good. He's a madman on here. Unfortunately, some people are going to be annoyed by that production of the drums. But since it's so pronounced and so, like, that's what you hear, you can hear him. And he's just, he's Octopus Man. He's all over the place. And he's just beating the shit out of that snare. And you can tell, like, there's almost like that moment there where you wonder, like, is this guy's arm gonna fall off? Like, he's just a madman on the drums. Like, he can just tell, like, he's up there having fun. And I've heard that they're awesome live. I would love to see this band live, so they'd be a really fun show to go to. So, I mean, the name alone implies fun death metal. So, I mean, Mutilation BBQ. Are you really expecting this to be like? I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. Like, you just know it's going to be a fun death metal album, and that's exactly what it is. It's not something that needs to be super clean or polished, and I generally like that in my death metal, so when I listen to this now on my tape deck, the production doesn't bother me whatsoever. It kind of just sets the tone in general for the band. I think that almost gives them kind of a good indication of the style of death metal they're going to play. And I also think that, like I said, I think time is going to do good things for them. I can see this band, and I hear hints of it turning into more of the Suffocation sound, even some more of the Cannibal Corpse sounds to it. You definitely hear similar influences on this album. It's interesting. It has been a while since I've listened to a death metal album where I can't be like, this sounds like this. They have their own sound. Yeah, I can say if you're a fan of 200 Stab Wounds, you're going to like this, but 200 Stab Wounds also has, like, it's just different sound than this. This is, like, Mutilation BBQ is their own sound. I don't even know. Like, I guess if you like 200 Stab Wounds and Sing with Sugarbog, I would say Sing with Sugarbog just because of the goofiness. 200 Stab Wounds because of the overall musical style, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to try to lump them all together because they're all just, like, their Mutilation BBQ just stands on their own. That's just as my opinion. But I do hear every once in a while littering of Suffocation riff written in there. And I like it that Jim and John called that out in Thralls, because it's definitely, now that he's called that out, like, I definitely hear that. But I also see this being a band of a caliber of Cannibal Corpse, where they're going to just continuously writing music and putting out good input. Yeah, and I'm going to stand to that. I'm gonna die on this hill and think that. So, Mutilation BBQ, check it out, Maggot Stomp. You know, judge it on your own. Reviewers tend to take themselves too seriously and say, like, you have to believe and take their word for everything, and that's the only way that you can think about an album, and I'm definitely not that person whatsoever. I'm just telling you what I think, because people actually care, which is crazy. I really enjoyed the album. This is definitely going to be one of my favorite releases to come out this year. I've been listening to it a ton. It's just really, really good comfort death metal. That's what I call it for myself, comfort death metal. It's familiar to me. It's enjoyable. It's entertaining. And every time I listen to the album, there's something new that I hear about it. And I'm going to listen to it, just like I still pull this off and listen to it every once in a while. And I don't really need to do this anymore because this is on the full length, but this is just a collection purpose. But yeah, good stuff. Mutilation BBQ, check it out. All the links will be in the description. Enjoy the little tiny, I hope you enjoyed the little tiny, very brief clip that I put in there. Gonna try and skirt the copyright claim, but we'll see. If it does, I'll just message Scott and be like, yo, stop it. That's all I have. Hope you guys are enjoying your Wednesday. I'll see you in the next one.